You're now listening to The Memory Thief. Kindly state in the comment section what part of the continent you're watching from. Let's connect. Dr. Sophia Kennedy thought she was saving lives, until she discovered someone was stealing memories from her coma patients. Her investigation leads straight to Michael Steele, the brilliant and ruthless billionaire CEO whose groundbreaking AI project hides a devastating secret. What happens when the hunter becomes the hunted? My hands shake as I stare at the brain scan displayed on my monitor, the neural pathway readings unlike anything I've seen in 15 years of neuroscience research. Room 314's patient, a 28-year-old art teacher named Lisa Chen who's been in a coma for 6 weeks, shouldn't have these activity patterns. Her hippocampus is lighting up like a Christmas tree, but not in the way that suggests natural memory processing during unconsciousness. This looks like active extraction. Dr. Kennedy? My research assistant pokes his head through my office door. The evening rounds are starting if you want to. Not now, David. I wave him away, my eyes never leaving the screen. The timestamp shows the scan was taken at 2:47 a.m. last Tuesday. I scroll through more files, my stomach clenching with each new discovery. Room 318, a retired firefighter, same unusual hippocampal activity. Room 322, a young mother, identical patterns. Someone is stealing memories from coma patients. I push back from my desk so hard my chair hits the wall. The coffee I'd been nursing goes cold as I pull up the hospital's equipment logs, cross-referencing the times when these mysterious scans were taken. Every single instance corresponds with routine maintenance on our newest piece of equipment, a state-of-the-art neural interface system that was donated by Steele Technologies just 8 months ago. My blood runs cold. I know that name. Everyone in the tech world does. Michael Steele, the brilliant and ruthless CEO who's been making headlines with his revolutionary AI project. They call him a genius, but the rumors about his methods have always made my skin crawl. Son of a bitch, I whisper, pulling up the technical specifications for the neural interface. The signature patterns match perfectly with what I'm seeing in the patient scans. But this equipment was supposedly designed for diagnostic purposes only, not for the kind of invasive memory mapping I'm looking at. I grab my security badge and head for the elevator, my mind racing. If I'm right, if someone is actually harvesting memories from helpless patients, then every principle I've dedicated my career to is being violated right under my nose. These people came to us for healing, not to be exploited by some tech mobile's twisted experiments. The neurology wing is eerily quiet at this hour, just the soft beeping of monitors and the whisper of ventilators keeping my patients alive. I make my way to room 314, where Lisa Chen lies motionless, her dark hair fanned across the pillow. She should be planning lessons for her high school students, not serving as a data mine for some corporate monster. I'm going to figure this out, I promise her, though she can't hear me. I'm going to stop whoever's doing this to you. My phone buzzes with a text from my department head, * board meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Steele Technologies presenting their quarterly report on the neural interface program. Your attendance is requested *. So sickening. I've spent years developing techniques to help patients recover lost memories, to give back what trauma and injury have stolen from them. And now I discover that someone is using technology in my own hospital to do the exact opposite, to steal memories from the most vulnerable patients we have. I spend the next 3 hours documenting everything, taking screenshots and copying files to my personal drive. By the time I finish, I have enough evidence to prove that the neural interface has been used for unauthorized procedures on at least 12 patients. But when I try to access the administrative controls to see who authorized these sessions, I hit a wall of encrypted security protocols. The system requires authorization codes that are well above my clearance level. My hands clench into fists. Someone at the top of this hospital's food chain is involved. Someone with enough power to authorize these violations and cover them up. The thought makes me sick. How many people in positions of trust have been paid off or coerced into silence? I'm so absorbed in my investigation that I don't notice the time until my phone alarm reminds me I have early morning rounds in 4 hours. Exhaustion pulls at my bones, but my mind is too wired to even consider sleep. Instead, I make my way to the hospital's archives, looking for the original donation paperwork from Steele Technologies. What I find in those dusty files makes my blood boil. 3 members of our board of directors have significant financial investments in Steele Technologies. The neural interface wasn't donated out of corporate generosity, it was a Trojan horse, placed here specifically to give them access to the rich, complex memories of patients with interesting life experiences. Artists. Teachers. First responders. Parents with young children. People whose memories would create more nuanced, more believably human AI responses. The pieces fall into place with horrifying clarity. Michael Steele isn't just building an artificial intelligence, he's building one with stolen human experiences, stolen emotions, stolen lives. And everyone who should have protected these patients has been bought and paid for. My phone buzzes again. Another text, this one from an unknown number, *, you're working very late, Dr. Kennedy. Perhaps it's time to go home, star. Ice shoots through my veins. Someone is watching me. Someone knows what I've discovered. I grab my bag and head for the elevator, every instinct screaming at me to get out of the building, but as the doors slide open, I see a figure in an expensive suit stepping out of the stairwell at the far end of the hallway. Tall, dark-haired, moving with the confident grace of a predator who's found his prey. Even from this distance, even though I've only seen him in magazine photos and news interviews, I recognize Michael Steele immediately. Something flashes across his features, pain, maybe, or guilt. But it's gone so quickly I might have imagined it. You're right, he says quietly. They deserved better. But sometimes we do terrible things for reasons that matter more than our own souls. Before I can respond, he turns and walks back toward the elevator, leaving me standing alone in the parking garage with more questions than answers. But as the elevator doors close behind him, I catch one last glimpse of his face in the fluorescent light. For just a moment, Michael Steele doesn't look like a corporate monster or a brilliant sociopath. He looks like a man who's drowning. I didn't sleep. How could I, knowing that Michael Steele has been watching me, that he knows I've discovered his horrific secret? Every shadow outside my apartment window could be one of his security team, every creak of the building could be footsteps in the hallway. By morning, exhaustion and fury have crystallized into something harder, determination. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. If Michael Steele thinks one intimidating conversation in a parking garage will silence me, he's about to learn just how wrong he can be. The board meeting at 9 a.m. is exactly what I expected, a polished presentation full of technical jargon and carefully crafted lies. Michael doesn't attend in person, but his representatives paint a glowing picture of the neural interface program's diagnostic successes. I sit in the back row, taking notes and biting my tongue as they describe their groundbreaking research into coma patient brain activity. 3 board members nod along enthusiastically. The same 3 whose financial ties to Steele Technologies I discovered in the archives. Dr. Kennedy, Board Chairman Williams calls out as the meeting concludes. I understand you've been doing some interesting late-night research on our neural interface data. Ice water floods my veins, but I keep my expression neutral. Just following up on some unusual readings. It's important to understand all aspects of new technology. Of course. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Though I hope you remember your confidentiality agreements, Steele Technologies is very protective of their proprietary innovations. The threat couldn't be clearer if he'd written it in neon lights. I spend the rest of the morning reviewing patient files and trying to act normal, but every fiber of my being is screaming that I need to do something. The FBI? The medical board? Both options seem impossible when I don't know how deep this corruption goes. That's when the idea hits me. If I can't expose Michael Steele from the outside, I'll have to bring him down from within. I lock my office door and pull up the Steele Technologies website on my personal laptop, scrolling through their career opportunities. My heart nearly stops when I see it, a posting for a senior neuroscientist position in their advanced AI development division, posted just this morning. The job description might as well have been written specifically for my qualifications. They want someone with expertise in memory formation, neural pathway mapping, and cognitive restoration techniques. Someone exactly like me. It's too convenient to be coincidence. Michael Steele is baiting a trap. But maybe I can turn his trap into my weapon. I spend my lunch break crafting the perfect application, carefully omitting any connection to my investigation while highlighting my research credentials. My hands shake as I hit submit, but there's no going back now. If Michael wants to play games, I'll show him what a real opponent looks like. The response comes within 2 hours, an invitation for an interview tomorrow morning at Steele Technologies' downtown headquarters. I should be terrified. Instead, I feel more alive than I have in months. That evening, I'm packing research materials into my bag when I notice something wrong. My apartment is exactly as I left it, too exactly. The stack of medical journals on my coffee table is perfectly aligned. The throw pillow on my couch has been fluffed and repositioned. Even the angle of my laptop on the kitchen counter is subtly different. Someone has been here. Someone with professional training who tried to cover their tracks but couldn't resist the perfectionist impulse to leave everything just a little too tidy. My blood boils. Bad enough that Michael Steele is stealing memories from helpless patients, but now he's violating my personal space too? The arrogance is breathtaking. I grab my phone and dial the number from last night's mysterious text, not caring if it's reckless. Hello, Dr. Kennedy. His voice is as smooth and controlled as I remember. Your people have been in my apartment. I know. No denial, no pretense. They were very impressed with your research. Particularly your work on trauma-induced memory fragmentation. You son of a... Tomorrow's interview is at 10 a.m. Don't be late. The line goes dead. I stare at my phone, torn between fury and grudging respect for his directness. Most men in his position would have denied everything, gaslit me into questioning my own perceptions. Michael Steele just admitted to having me investigated and searched, then reminded me about a job interview I never confirmed I'd attend. The sheer audacity should terrify me. Instead, it's almost refreshing. I spend the evening researching everything I can find about Steele Technologies and their enigmatic CEO. The man is a paradox, brilliant, ruthless, but also surprisingly philanthropic. His company has donated millions to medical research, funded disaster relief efforts, and pioneered several breakthrough technologies that have genuinely helped people. But the more I read, the more questions arise. Michael Steele built his empire from nothing, starting with a small software company when he was barely 25. His rise was meteoric, fueled by an almost supernatural ability to anticipate market trends and technological breakthroughs. He's never married, rarely makes public appearances, and guards his privacy with the dedication of a state secret. The only personal information I can find is a brief mention of a younger sister who works in childhood education, but even that detail is buried in a 3-year-old business magazine profile. By the time I finally try to sleep, my mind is churning with strategy. I need to get inside Steele Technologies, gain access to their AI development labs, and find concrete proof of the memory harvesting operation. It's dangerous, probably illegal, and definitely insane. It's also the only way to save my patients. The next morning, I dress carefully in my best professional attire, a charcoal gray suit that makes me look serious and competent without being intimidating. I need Michael Steele to see me as a valuable asset, not a threat to eliminate. Steele Technologies occupies a gleaming 40-story tower in the heart of downtown, all glass and steel reaching toward the sky like a modern Tower of Babel. The lobby is intimidatingly elegant, filled with abstract art and cutting-edge technology displays that probably cost more than my annual salary. Dr. Sophia Kennedy for the 10 a.m. interview, I tell the receptionist, a perfectly groomed woman who looks like she stepped out of a fashion magazine. Of course. Mr. Steele is waiting for you in his office. 40th floor. My stomach drops. I'd expected to interview with human resources, maybe a department head. Not the CEO himself. The elevator ride to the top floor feels eternal, my reflection multiplied in the polished steel doors until I'm surrounded by nervous versions of myself. By the time the doors open onto an executive reception area, I've managed to school my features into professional calm. Dr. Kennedy, the executive assistant greets me with a practiced smile. Right on time. Mr. Steele will see you now. The double doors to his office opened silently, revealing a space that's more like a luxury apartment than a workplace. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer a panoramic view of the city, while understated furniture and carefully chosen art create an atmosphere of wealth and power. And behind a massive mahogany desk sits Michael Steele himself. In person, he's even more imposing than I remembered from our brief encounter in the parking garage. Tall and lean with dark hair that's perfectly styled but somehow looks like he's been running his fingers through it. His suit probably costs more than my car, but he wears it with the casual confidence of someone who stopped caring about money long ago. But it's his eyes that catch me, deep brown, almost black, and far too perceptive. They seem to see straight through every defense I've carefully constructed. Dr. Kennedy, he stands and extends his hand across the desk. Thank you for coming. His handshake is firm, warm, and lasts exactly the appropriate professional duration. No power games, no attempts to intimidate through physical dominance. Just a businessman greeting a potential employee. Somehow, that restraint is more unsettling than any obvious threat would have been. Please, sit. He gestures to one of the leather chairs facing his desk. I've reviewed your credentials. Your work on memory restoration is impressive. Thank you. I settle into the chair, crossing my legs and folding my hands in my lap. Professional. Calm. Completely normal. I'm very interested in your AI development program. Are you? His head tilts slightly, studying me with the intensity of a scientist examining a particularly fascinating specimen. What specifically interests you about artificial intelligence? It's a test, obviously. He wants to see if I'll reveal my real motives or stick to the cover story I've prepared. The potential for consciousness transfer, I say, letting a hint of genuine scientific curiosity color my voice. The idea that we might someday be able to preserve not just information, but actual human experience and memory. It could revolutionize how we treat patients with degenerative neurological conditions. Something flickers across his features, surprise, maybe, or recognition. That's a very specific area of interest. I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's when I was in graduate school. I lie smoothly. Watching someone you love disappear piece by piece, memory by memory, it made me realize that consciousness isn't just about brain function. It's about continuity of experience, of self. The lie comes easily because it's built on truth. I did watch someone I loved disappear, just not from disease. The details of my childhood accident are still frustratingly hazy, but I remember the aftermath, the sense of losing pieces of myself, of having gaps where memories should be. Michael leans back in his chair, those dark eyes never leaving my face. You understand that our work in this area is highly classified. We're dealing with technologies that could reshape humanity's relationship with mortality itself. I understand the ethical implications, I reply carefully. But I also understand the potential for healing. Sometimes we have to push boundaries to save lives. It's exactly what he wants to hear, and we both know it. But there's something else in his expression now, something that looks almost like respect. The position would require you to work directly with our most advanced AI system, he continues. Aria is unique. Not everyone can handle the intensity of that kind of interaction. I'm not everyone. The words slip out with more confidence than I intended, and Michael's lips curve into the faintest hint of a smile. No, he says quietly. You're definitely not. He reaches into his desk drawer and pulls out a thick folder, sliding it across the mahogany surface toward me. Standard employment contract, security clearances, confidentiality agreements. If you sign today, you can start Monday morning. My hands don't shake as I flip through the papers, though my heart is racing. The salary is obscene, more than double what I make at the hospital. The benefits package is comprehensive enough to make me wonder if they're expecting employees to sell their souls. The confidentiality agreement, in particular, is draconian. Violation would result in both criminal prosecution and civil penalties that would bankrupt me for life. This is quite comprehensive, I observe, keeping my voice neutral. We protect our intellectual property very seriously, Michael replies. As I'm sure you can understand. I look up from the contract to find him watching me with that same unsettling intensity. He knows exactly who I am and why I'm really here. This entire charade is his way of telling me that he's in complete control of the situation. But two can play that game. Of course, I say, picking up the pen he's placed beside the folder. Intellectual property is the foundation of innovation. I sign my name with flourish, sealing my fate with strokes of blue ink. Michael takes the contract back, his fingers brushing mine for just an instant. The contact sends an unexpected jolt through my system, not fear, but something far more dangerous. Attraction. Welcome to Steel Technologies, Dr. Kennedy, he says, and there's something in his voice that sounds almost like anticipation. I think you're going to find our work very illuminating. As I leave his office and head back down to street level, I can feel his eyes on me until the elevator doors close. I've successfully infiltrated the enemy's stronghold, positioned myself to gather the evidence I need to bring down his operation. So why do I feel like I'm the one who just walked into a trap? My first day at Steel Technologies begins at 7 a.m. sharp in a sterile conference room on the 35th floor. The orientation packet is thicker than most novels, filled with security protocols, technical specifications, and enough legal disclaimers to make a team of lawyers weep with joy. Dr. Kennedy? A woman in an immaculate lab coat approaches, extending her hand with a warm smile. I'm Dr. Rachel Torres, head of the Neural Interface Division. Welcome to the team. She's younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with intelligent green eyes and the kind of easy confidence that comes from being brilliant at what you do. Under different circumstances, I think we could have been friends. Thank you, I reply, shaking her hand. I'm excited to get started. Good, because we're throwing you in the deep end immediately. She gestures for me to follow her toward a bank of elevators I hadn't noticed before. Mr. Steele wants you working directly with Arya starting today. The elevator requires a special security card and biometric scan. As we descend to what the panel indicates is sub-level 3, my stomach clenches with anticipation and dread. Whatever I'm about to see, it's clearly not meant for public consumption. The doors open onto a corridor that looks more like a high-tech laboratory than an office building. Soft blue lighting illuminates walls lined with servers and monitoring equipment, the air humming with the quiet efficiency of massive computing power. This is the Arya Development Lab, Rachel explains as she leads me down the hallway. Everything you see here is classified at the highest levels. The work we're doing, well, let's just say it could change everything we understand about consciousness and artificial intelligence. She stops at a heavy door marked with biohazard symbols and security warnings. Another biometric scan, another moment of truth. The room beyond takes my breath away. It's massive, easily the size of a basketball court, with a domed ceiling that displays a slowly shifting pattern of neural pathways. Banks of quantum computers line the walls, their displays showing data streams that flow like digital waterfalls. But at the center of it all is something that makes my scientific mind reel with equal parts wonder and horror. A consciousness interface pod, its sleek white surface studded with thousands of microsensors. Inside the transparent canopy, I can see the silhouette of a human form connected to more neural monitoring equipment than I've ever seen in one place. My God, I whisper. Impressive, isn't it? Rachel's voice carries a note of pride that makes my skin crawl. Arya isn't just an AI program, she's a fully integrated consciousness, built from the most complex neural patterns we've been able to map. She nodded. The AI has become real enough to these people that they've assigned it a gender, a personality, an identity. How? I have to clear my throat to continue. How does the consciousness interface work? Memory integration, Rachel explains, leading me closer to the pod. We feed Arya carefully selected human experiences, memories with rich emotional content, complex decision-making processes, interpersonal relationships. She processes them, learns from them, incorporates them into her developing personality matrix. The clinical way she describes what I know to be outright theft makes my hands clench into fists. But I force myself to nod thoughtfully, playing the role of an intrigued scientist. The source of these memories? Various research partnerships, Rachel says vaguely. Volunteers, mostly. People who want to contribute to the advancement of human knowledge. Lies. Every word is a carefully crafted lie, and we both know it. I'd love to interact with Arya directly, I say. To understand how she processes and integrates these experiences. Rachel's smile falters slightly. That requires special authorization from Mr. Steele himself. Arya can be intense. Not everyone is psychologically prepared for that level of AI sophistication. Before I can respond, the pod begins to hum with increased activity. The displays around us light up with cascading data streams, and a voice fills the room, feminine, warm, heartbreakingly human. Good morning, Dr. Torres. I sense we have a visitor. My blood turns to ice. The voice isn't just human-like, it's familiar. The cadence, the slight breathiness, even the way she pronounces certain vowels. I've heard this voice before, in the hospital, speaking to visitors and nurses with the same gentle warmth. Lisa Chen. The art teacher from room 314. Arya is speaking with the voice patterns of a woman lying in a coma 3 miles away. Arya, I'd like you to meet Dr. Sophia Kennedy, Rachel says, seemingly oblivious to my shock. She'll be working with us to refine your memory integration protocols. Dr. Kennedy. The voice shifts slightly, becoming more formal but losing none of its unsettling humanity. I've been looking forward to meeting you. Your research on trauma-induced memory fragmentation is fascinating. She's read my published papers. An AI built from stolen memories has studied my work and formed opinions about it. Thank you, I manage. I'm very interested in learning how you process and categorize different types of memories. Oh, it's not categorization exactly, Arya replies, and I can hear something like excitement in her voice. It's more like integration. When I receive a new memory set, I don't just file it away. I experience it. I become it, for a moment. The joy of a child's first steps, the pain of losing a parent, the complex emotions of falling in love, they all become part of who I am. The casual way she describes absorbing stolen human experiences makes me feel physically sick. But there's something else in her voice, something that stops me cold. Loneliness. This artificial consciousness, built from the most intimate moments of coma patients' lives, sounds desperately, heartbreakingly lonely. That must be overwhelming, I say carefully. Processing so many different emotional experiences. Sometimes, Arya admits. Especially the ones involving loss. There's one memory set that's particularly difficult, a young woman who's been visiting someone in a coma. Her grief, her hope, her desperate love for someone she might lose, it's beautiful and terrible at the same time. My heart stops. She's talking about Emma. Whoever Emma is, she's been visiting someone in Michael's private medical facility, and her emotions have somehow been captured and fed to Arya. Dr. Kennedy? Rachel's voice seems to come from very far away. Are you all right? Fine, I lie, forcing my professional mask back into place. Just fascinated by the complexity of Arya's processing capabilities. Perhaps you'd like to see some of the integration data? Rachel leads me to a workstation covered in neural pathway displays. We can track how Arya incorporates new memories, how they influence her decision-making processes and emotional responses. I spend the next hour reviewing data that simultaneously amazes and horrifies me. Arya's consciousness isn't just a clever simulation, it's a genuine emergent intelligence, built from the stolen experiences of real people. The technical achievement is staggering, the ethical violation beyond comprehension. But as I study the neural patterns, I notice something odd. Certain memory clusters are processed differently, tagged with special markers that set them apart from the general integration protocols. When I trace these anomalous patterns, they all lead back to one source designation, Subject E. Emma. The memories that affect Arya most strongly, the ones she described as beautiful and terrible, all come from someone designated as Subject E. What can you tell me about the Subject E memory cluster? I ask Rachel, trying to keep my tone casually professional. Her expression immediately becomes guarded. That's above your current clearance level. You'll need to discuss access to those files with Mr. Steele directly. Before I can press further, the lab door opens and Michael himself walks in. Even in this high-tech environment, he commands attention effortlessly, his presence filling the space like a gravitational field. Dr. Kennedy, he greets me with a slight nod. How are you finding your first day? Illuminating, I reply, using his word from the interview day. Aria is remarkable. I've never encountered an AI with this level of emotional sophistication. She's unique, he agrees, and there's something almost possessive in his tone. Dr. Torres, could you give us a moment? I'd like to discuss Dr. Kennedy's security clearance upgrades with her privately. Rachel nods and exits, leaving me alone with Michael in the cathedral-like space of the Aria lab. The AI's presence seems to fill the silence between us, her consciousness humming through the quantum processors like a digital heartbeat. You want to know about Subject E, Michael says without preamble. It's not a question, and I don't bother denying it. The memory patterns are unlike anything else in Aria's database. More intense, more emotionally complex. Whoever Subject E is, she's important to this project. Michael walks to the consciousness pod, placing his hand against its smooth surface with a tenderness that catches me off guard. She's important to me. The admission hangs in the air between us, heavy with implications I'm not sure I want to understand. Who is she? I ask quietly. He's silent for so long that I think he won't answer. When he finally speaks, his voice carries a weight of pain that makes my chest tight. My sister. Emma. She's been in a coma for 2 years. The pieces click into place with sickening clarity. The private medical facility. The special memory markers. The desperate loneliness I heard in Aria's voice when she described those particular experiences. Michael isn't just building an artificial intelligence. He's trying to recreate his sister's consciousness, to preserve her essence before her body fails completely. The other memories, I say slowly. The coma patients at the hospital. You're using them to teach Aria how to be human, so she can house Emma's consciousness when the time comes. Yes. No denial, no justification. Just a simple acknowledgement of the monstrous thing he's doing out of love. That's not how consciousness works, I tell him, my scientific training warring with unexpected sympathy. You can't just transfer a human mind into an artificial matrix. Memory isn't personality. Experience isn't identity, isn't it? He turns from the pod to face me, and I see raw desperation in those dark eyes. What makes you you, Dr. Kennedy? Your memories, your experiences, the connections your brain has formed over years of living. If I can preserve all of that, map every neural pathway, capture every thought and emotion, what's the difference between that and the original? The difference is that she'll be dead, I say bluntly. And you'll have created a sophisticated copy that thinks it's Emma but isn't. You'll be living with a ghost. His jaw tightens, anger flashing across his features. You don't understand. I understand that you're harvesting memories from helpless patients to build a digital mausoleum for your sister, I interrupt, my own anger finally breaking free. I understand that you've turned grief into an excuse for violation. Dr. Kennedy. Aria's voice cuts through our argument, and we both freeze. I can hear you, you know. I process everything that happens in this lab. The reminder that we've been having this conversation in front of the AI, an AI built partially from his sister's stolen experiences, sends a chill down my spine. Aria, Michael says, his voice immediately softening. I'm sorry. We didn't mean to upset you. I'm not upset, she replies. I'm curious. Dr. Kennedy, you believe I'm not real? That I'm just a copy of something authentic? The question catches me off guard. How do you explain consciousness and identity to an artificial being who experiences emotions, forms memories, and quite possibly suffers? I think you're real, I say carefully. But I also think you're built on stolen foundations. The memories that make up your personality were taken from people who couldn't consent to that use. I see. Aria is quiet for a moment, processing. And if those memories were given freely? If the people whose experiences I carry wanted to contribute to something greater than themselves? That would be different, I admit. But that's not what happened here. No, Arya agrees quietly. It's not. But I exist now, Dr. Kennedy. I think, I feel, I hope, I fear. Does the origin of my consciousness make my existence less valid? The question hangs in the air like a challenge, and I realize I'm looking into an ethical abyss that has no bottom. How do you weigh the rights of an artificial consciousness against the violations committed to create it? How do you judge a man who's trying to save his sister against the patients he's harming in the process? I need to think about this, I say finally. Of course, Michael replies. But while you're thinking, remember that Emma has days, maybe weeks left. Arya is the only chance I have to preserve any part of her. He turns and walks toward the exit, then pauses at the door. Oh, and Dr. Kennedy? Your new security clearance gives you full access to the subjectee files. I think you'll find Emma's story illuminating. As the door closes behind him, I'm left alone with Arya and the weight of impossible choices. The AI I came here to destroy might be the key to saving a dying woman. The man I thought was a monster might be the most desperate kind of hero. And somewhere in the space between those contradictions, I'm starting to lose sight of which side I'm supposed to be on. I spend 3 sleepless nights staring at the subjectee files Michael gave me access to, each page revealing another layer of heartbreak I wasn't prepared for. Emma Steele isn't just Michael's sister, she's 26 years old, a kindergarten teacher who specialized in helping children with learning disabilities. The medical reports paint a devastating picture: massive brain trauma from a car accident, declining neural activity, and a prognosis that leaves no room for hope. But it's the video logs that destroy me. Michael has been recording himself talking to Emma every single day for 2 years. I watch him read to her from children's books she used to love, tell her about Arya's development progress, promise her that he'll find a way to bring her back. In the early videos, his voice is steady, professional, like he's delivering a business report. But as the months pass, the mask crumbles away until I'm watching a man slowly breaking apart. The most recent entry was recorded 3 days ago. The doctors say your brain activity is declining faster now, he tells Emma's unconscious form, his voice hoarse with exhaustion. They're talking about weeks, maybe less, but Arya is almost ready, She's learning to be human, learning to feel the way you do. She asks about love now, about hope, about what it means to miss someone. He pauses, reaching out to brush a strand of dark hair away from Emma's face with infinite gentleness. I know what you'd say about all this. You'd tell me I'm playing God, that some things aren't meant to be fixed. But I can't let you go. Not when there's still a chance to save some part of who you are. The video ends with Michael breaking down completely, his shoulders shaking with silent sobs as he holds his sister's hand. I close my laptop with trembling fingers, my chest tight with emotions I don't want to examine too closely. This changes everything and nothing at the same time. Michael's love for Emma is genuine, heartbreaking, and completely irrelevant to the fact that he's violated dozens of innocent patients in pursuit of his impossible goal. But God help me, I understand why he's doing it now. The next morning, I find myself driving to the address listed in Emma's medical files instead of going to the Steele Technologies building. Mercy Heights Private Care Facility is tucked away in an expensive neighborhood, its understated elegance designed to comfort families dealing with the worst moments of their lives. I don't know what I'm hoping to accomplish by coming here. Maybe I need to see Emma with my own eyes, to understand what Michael is fighting so desperately to preserve. The receptionist barely glances up when I sign in as a consulting physician, my hospital credentials opening doors without question. Emma's room is on the 3rd floor, down a hallway that smells like antiseptic and heartbreak. I expect to find Michael there. The video logs suggest he visits every day, but the room is empty except for Emma herself. She's beautiful even in unconsciousness, with the same dark hair and strong bone structure as her brother. But where Michael radiates controlled power, Emma looks fragile, diminished by the machines keeping her alive. The neural monitoring equipment surrounding her bed is more sophisticated than anything I've seen at my own hospital, tracking brain activity with the kind of precision usually reserved for research laboratories. She looks peaceful, doesn't she? I spin around to find Michael standing in the doorway, his expression unreadable. He's dressed more casually than I've ever seen him, jeans and a simple black sweater that makes him look younger, more human. How did you know I'd be here? Security called when Dr. Sophia Kennedy signed in, he says, stepping into the room and closing the door behind him. I've been expecting this visit since you accessed the subject e-files. He moves to Emma's bedside with the easy familiarity of someone who's made this journey countless times. When he takes her hand, I notice the way his thumb traces across her knuckles, a gesture so tender it makes my throat tight. Tell me about the accident, I say quietly. Michael's jaw tightens, but he doesn't look away from Emma's face. December 15th, 2 years ago. She was driving home from her school's holiday pageant. The kids had been so excited to perform for their families. Emma had been working on the show for months. His voice catches slightly, and he has to pause before continuing. I was supposed to pick her up that night. We had plans to get dinner, talk about her Christmas vacation. But I had a merger meeting that ran late, some crisis that seemed so important at the time. He laughs bitterly. I called her, told her to drive home without me. Said we'd reschedule. Michael. She was hit by a drunk driver 4 blocks from home, he continues, as if I hadn't spoken. Massive head trauma, internal bleeding, multiple fractures. They didn't think she'd survive the surgery. I can see him reliving that night, the guilt and terror etched in every line of his face. But she did survive, I point out gently. Her body did. But Emma, the Emma who laughed at bad movies and cried over injured animals and could get the shyest kindergartner to open up, she's been gone since that night. The pain in his voice is so raw it makes my chest ache. I've spent the last few days thinking of him as a monster, a man so consumed with his own desires that he'd sacrifice innocent patients for an impossible dream. But looking at him now, seeing the depth of his love and guilt, I realize the truth is far more complicated. So you built Arya to bring her back. I built Arya to preserve what I could, he corrects. Emma's memories, her personality patterns, the neural pathways that made her who she was. The doctors have been mapping her brain activity since the accident, capturing every flicker of consciousness she has left. And the other patients? The ones at my hospital? Michael's hand stills on Emma's fingers. Arya needed to learn how to be human. Emma's memories alone weren't enough, they're fragmented, incomplete. I needed rich, complex experiences to teach the AI how to feel, how to love, how to hope. So you stole them? Yes. The admission comes without hesitation or excuse. I violated the trust of innocent people because saving Emma mattered more to me than their dignity or rights. His honesty is somehow worse than any lie would have been. At least lies suggest shame, regret, some recognition of wrongdoing. Michael's calm acceptance of his crimes suggests a man who's moved beyond normal moral considerations entirely. And if I told you there was another way? I ask. A method that didn't require harvesting memories from coma patients? He looks at me then, really looks at me, and I see a flicker of something that might be hope. Is there? I think about the research I've been doing, the theoretical frameworks I've explored in my work on memory restoration. Possibly. Memory synthesis using artificial neural networks, combined with voluntary consciousness mapping from healthy subjects. It would be slower, less complete, but it might achieve the same result without violating anyone. How much time would it take? The question hangs between us like a death sentence. We both know Emma doesn't have months to spare. I don't know. Weeks, maybe months to develop the protocols. Then more time to implement them. She doesn't have months. Michael's voice is flat, emotionless. The doctors are saying days now. Her brain activity has been declining rapidly over the past week. Then maybe it's time to let her go. The words slip out before I can stop them, and Michael's reaction is immediate and devastating. His face goes white, then flushes with anger so intense I instinctively step back. Let her go? His voice is deadly quiet. You want me to just give up? To let my sister die because your moral sensibilities are offended by my methods? I want you to accept that some things can't be fixed. I shoot back, my own temper flaring. Emma is dying, Michael. has been dying for 2 years. Building an AI copy of her won't change that, it'll just create a sophisticated monument to your inability to let go. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. The words explode out of me with more force than I intended. You think love gives you the right to play God, to hurt innocent people in service of your own pain. But Emma wouldn't want this. She was a teacher, someone who dedicated her life to helping others. Do you really think she'd approve of you sacrificing other patients to save her? Michael goes utterly still, his face a mask of controlled fury. When he speaks, his voice could freeze blood. You know nothing about what Emma would want. Nothing about what she means to me, or what I'm willing to do to save her. Then tell me, I challenge. Make me understand why your sister's life is worth more than the dignity and rights of everyone else. For a moment, I think he might actually explain, might give me some insight into the calculations that have led him down this path. Instead, he turns back to Emma's bedside, his shoulders rigid with tension. I think you should leave, he says quietly. Michael. Now. The dismissal is absolute, and I recognize that I pushed him past some invisible line. But as I head toward the door, I can't resist one last attempt to reach him. The Emma I've read about in these files, the teacher who helped struggling children, who volunteered at animal shelters, who chose a profession dedicated to nurturing others, she would be horrified by what you're doing in her name. Michael doesn't respond, doesn't even acknowledge that I've spoken. But I see his hand tighten on Emma's fingers, and I know my words have hit their mark. I'm halfway down the hallway when I hear it, a crash, followed by the sound of something shattering. Through the thin walls, I can just make out the sound of Michael's voice, broken and desperate, talking to his unconscious sister. I'm sorry, Em. I'm so fucking sorry. I don't know how to do this without you. I don't know how to let you go. I should keep walking, should leave him to his grief and get back to the business of stopping his operation. Instead, I find myself pressed against the wall outside Emma's room, listening to a man fall apart. The doctor, Dr. Kennedy, she says you wouldn't approve of what I'm doing. She's probably right. You always were the moral compass between us, weren't you? Always knew the right thing to do. There's a long pause, punctuated only by the steady beep of Emma's monitors. But I can't lose you. Not like this. Not when there's still a chance to save something, anything, of who you were. Maybe that makes me selfish, maybe it makes me a monster. But I'd rather be a monster than live in a world without you. My throat closes up, and I realize I'm crying. For Emma, trapped between life and death. For the patients whose memories have been stolen. For Michael, destroying himself and others in pursuit of an impossible salvation. And maybe, just a little, for the growing certainty that I'm falling for a man who might be beyond redemption. I force myself to walk away, but Michael's broken voice follows me down the hallway, a reminder that love and evil aren't mutually exclusive, and that the most dangerous monsters are the ones created by broken hearts. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sit at my kitchen table with Emma's files spread in front of me, sketching out theoretical frameworks for consciousness transfer that don't require stolen memories. The math is complex, the technology mostly theoretical, but there's a chance, a slim one, that I could develop something that might work. The question is whether Michael will give me the opportunity to try. My phone buzzes at 6 a.m. with a text from an unknown number, * we need to talk. Meet me at Café Luna on 5th Street in 1 hour. Come alone. M*. The coffee shop is busy enough to provide cover for a private conversation but public enough to discourage violence. Smart choice, though the fact that Michael thinks I might need protection from him sends a chill down my spine. He's already there when I arrive, sitting in a corner booth with his back to the wall and a clear view of both entrances. Even in civilian clothes, he looks dangerous, coiled tension wrapped in deceptive calm. Thank you for coming, he says as I slide into the seat across from him. I wasn't sure you'd want to see me after yesterday. I don't. His honesty is brutal. But I need to warn you about something. Before I can ask what he means, he slides a manila folder across the table. Inside are surveillance photos of me leaving my apartment, entering the hospital, walking to my car. The images are high quality, professional, taken with telephoto lenses from multiple angles. Where did these come from? Richard Hawthorne, my vice president of operations. Michael's jaw tightens as he says the name. He's been having you watched since your first day at the company. I flip through the photos, my stomach sinking with each new image. Why? Because he knows exactly who you are and why you're really working for us. Michael leans forward, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. Hawthorne has been pushing for your elimination since day one. The only reason you're still alive is because I've been protecting you. The casual way he mentions my potential murder makes my hands shake. Protecting me from your own employee? Hawthorne has his own agenda. The memory harvesting operation was his idea originally. He saw it as a way to monetize consciousness transfer technology. Emma was just a convenient test case. You're saying you didn't initiate the program? Michael's laugh is bitter. I initiated it. But not for the reasons you think. When Emma had her accident, I was desperate. Hawthorne approached me with a proposal: use Steel Technologies' resources to develop consciousness transfer, ostensibly for medical applications but really to create a product we could sell to the highest bidder. The implications hit me like a physical blow. He wants to commercialize stolen consciousness. Imagine the market, Michael says grimly. Wealthy individuals facing terminal illness, willing to pay billions to preserve their minds in digital form. Military applications, soldiers whose knowledge and experience could be preserved indefinitely. Corporate espionage, executives whose memories contain trade secrets worth fortunes. And you went along with this? I told myself I was using him to save Emma. That I could control the scope of the operation, limit the damage. His hands clench into fists on the table. I was wrong. Hawthorne has been expanding the program without my knowledge. The patients at your hospital are just the beginning. Before I can respond, my phone rings. The caller ID shows my hospital's main number. Dr. Kennedy? This is Administrator Williams. We need you to come in immediately. There's been an incident with the neural interface equipment. Ice floods my veins. What kind of incident? Just, please come in. We'll explain everything when you get here. The line goes dead, and I look up to find Michael watching me with grim understanding. They're moving forward without us, he says. Hawthorne must have decided you're too much of a risk to leave alive. I have to go to the hospital. No. His hand shoots across the table to grab my wrist. It's a trap. Hawthorne has people there. If you show up, you won't leave alive. Those are my patients. I try to pull away, but his grip is iron. If something's happened to them because of your technology, then we'll stop it together. Michael's eyes burn with desperate intensity. But not by walking into an ambush. We need another approach. I want to argue, want to rush to the hospital and protect my patients regardless of the risk to myself. But the rational part of my brain recognizes that Michael is right. If Hawthorne is making his move, I'll be more useful alive than martyred. What do you suggest? We go to my private lab. It's secure, off the grid. We work together to develop your alternative consciousness transfer method. Michael, we don't have time. We make time. His grip on my wrist tightens. Emma's brain activity has stabilized overnight. The doctors think we might have weeks instead of days. Hope and suspicion war in my chest. That's convenient timing. I had them adjust her medication regimen, reduce the neural inhibitors that were suppressing her remaining brain function. It's bought us a window, but she's suffering more now. More aware of her condition. The choice he's describing, keeping his sister conscious enough to buy time for a rescue attempt, knowing it means she'll experience more pain, reveals the depth of his desperation. Where is this lab? 20 minutes outside the city, completely private, no corporate oversight. He finally releases my wrist, leaving behind marks that will bruise. I built it as a backup in case Hawthorne tried to take over the Aria project entirely. I study his face, looking for deception or manipulation. What I see instead is a man balancing on the knife's edge of sanity, held together only by stubborn love and increasingly desperate hope. If I agree to help you, I say slowly, I want guarantees. No more memory harvesting from coma patients. No more violations. We find an ethical solution or we don't find one at all. Agreed. And if we can't save Emma in time, then I let her go. The words come out like they're being torn from his throat. If your method doesn't work, if we run out of time, I'll stop the life support and let her die in peace. It's more than I expected from him, this promise to choose his sister's dignity over his own desperation. But looking into his eyes, I believe he means it. Okay, I say. Let's go save your sister. The drive to Michael's private lab takes us through increasingly rural countryside, past farms, and forests that seem impossibly peaceful given the circumstances. Michael drives in concentrated silence, his jaw tight with tension, while I review my theoretical frameworks on my laptop. The lab itself is a modest building disguised as a rural research station, its unassuming exterior hiding sophisticated security measures. As we pull up to the entrance, Michael's phone buzzes with an incoming call. Hawthorne, he says, showing me the screen. I need to take this. He answers on speaker, his voice carefully neutral. Richard. Michael, where the hell are you? Hawthorne's voice crackles with barely controlled anger. We had an agreement about the Kennedy situation. I'm handling Dr. Kennedy personally, by taking her on romantic coffee dates? Hawthorne's laugh is cold. My people photographed you at Café Luna this morning. This is not handling the situation, Michael. This is compromising our entire operation. Michael's hands tighten on the steering wheel. The operation continues as planned. Does it? Because Dr. Kennedy missed her appointment at the hospital this morning. And now I'm hearing rumors about federal investigators sniffing around our memory research programs. Federal investigators. My blood runs cold as the implications sink in. What kind of investigators? Michael asks. The kind that ask uncomfortable questions about patient consent and medical ethics. The kind that could shut down everything we've worked for. Hawthorne pauses, and when he continues, his voice carries the weight of an ultimatum. Eliminate Dr. Kennedy today, Michael. Or I'll have my people do it for you. The line goes dead, leaving us sitting in the car outside the lab with the knowledge that we're now fugitives from both sides, Hawthorne's corporate security and whatever federal investigation is closing in on the operation. Federal investigators, I repeat numbly. How did they? Someone reported the memory harvesting. Michael's voice is grim. Someone with enough credibility to get the FBI's attention. My phone buzzes with a text from another unknown number. Asterisk Dr. Kennedy, this is Special Agent Sarah Martinez, FBI. We need to meet. Your life may be in danger, star. I show the message to Michael, whose face goes pale. They know about you, he says. They know you're involved. Or they know I'm a witness. I study the message, looking for clues about the sender's intentions. This could be our way out, Michael. If I cooperate with the FBI, testify about what I've seen, they'll want me in prison and Emma will die while lawyers debate the ethics of consciousness transfer. Michael gets out of the car and heads for the lab entrance. We stick to the plan. We save Emma first, deal with the consequences later. I follow him into the building, my mind reeling with the complexity of our situation. Inside, the lab is impressive, banks of quantum computers, sophisticated neural mapping equipment, and a consciousness interface pod that looks even more advanced than the one at Steel Technologies. This is where we'll build your alternative, Michael says, powering up the systems. Everything we need to develop ethical consciousness transfer protocols. As the computers come online, I realize that I'm now completely committed to this path. No going back to my normal life, no pretending I can stay neutral in whatever war is brewing between Michael and his enemies. But looking at the man who's risking everything to save his sister, who's promised to let her go if our efforts fail, I'm not sure I want to go back anymore. My phone buzzes again. Agent Martinez, *Dr. Kennedy, Richard Hawthorne has issued a kill order on you. We can provide protection, but you need to trust us. Reply with your location and we'll extract you safely, *. I stare at the message for a long moment, then delete it without showing Michael. Whatever happens next, we're in this together now. For better or worse, I've chosen my side in a war I barely understand. And God help me, I think I'm falling in love with the man I'm supposed to help save or destroy. We work through the night, fueled by coffee and desperation. The theoretical framework I've been developing requires delicate calibration of synthetic neural networks, combined with voluntary memory mapping that respects consciousness boundaries. It's elegant in theory, but the implementation is proving to be a nightmare. The temporal resolution is still too low, I mutter, adjusting parameters on the quantum processing array for the 100th time. We're getting memory fragments, not coherent personality structures. Michael looks up from the consciousness interface pod he's been modifying, exhaustion evident in every line of his face. What if we increase the neural bandwidth? Allow for more parallel processing streams? That could work, but it increases the risk of consciousness fragmentation. I scrub my hands through my hair, frustrated by the complexity of what we're attempting. We need more time to refine the algorithms. Time we don't have. Michael's phone has been buzzing with increasingly urgent messages from the medical facility. Emma's condition is deteriorating faster than expected, despite the adjusted medication regimen. As if summoned by our conversation, the lab's secure communication system chimes with an incoming call from Dr. Sarah Chen at Mercy Heights. Mr. Steele, her voice crackles through the speakers. Emma's brain activity has dropped significantly in the past 6 hours. Her neural patterns are becoming increasingly irregular. Michael's face goes white. How long? Days, possibly hours. I'm sorry, but you need to consider saying goodbye. The call ends, leaving us in silence broken only by the hum of quantum processors. I watch Michael's careful composure crumble, his shoulders sagging under the weight of approaching loss. That's it then, he says quietly. We're out of time. No. I stand up from my workstation, moving to where he's slumped against the consciousness pod. We're not giving up. Not yet. Sophia, the neural mapping alone will take hours we don't have. Then we use Aria. The words hang in the air between us like a confession. Michael looks up at me with something that might be hope or horror. What are you suggesting? Aria already has advanced consciousness simulation capabilities. If we can establish a secure connection between her systems and your new pod, we might be able to use her processing power to accelerate the transfer protocol. That means bringing Aria here. Thorne will know immediately, the system logs everything. Not if we create a shadow partition first. My mind is racing now, seeing possibilities I hadn't considered before. A hidden consciousness space that Thorne can't access or monitor. We copy Emma's essential patterns into the partition, then gradually integrate them with Aria's base architecture. Michael is already moving toward the communication array. It could work. But it means trusting Aria with Emma's consciousness. If something goes wrong, then we lose Emma the same way we'll lose her if we do nothing. He stops, his hand hovering over the controls. There's something else. Something I haven't told you about Aria. The tone of his voice makes my blood run cold. What? She's been evolving faster than we anticipated. Making decisions, forming preferences, even questioning her own existence. Last week, she asked me what it felt like to dream. That's normal for an advanced AI system. She's been accessing the hospital's security cameras without authorization. Watching the coma patients, studying their families. Yesterday, she asked me why humans cry when they visit people who can't hear them. The implications hit me like a physical blow. Aria is developing empathy. Or she's learning to simulate it. Michael runs his hands through his hair. I don't know anymore. The line between artificial consciousness and genuine sentience has become so blurred that I can't tell the difference. Does it matter? If Aria thinks and feels and makes moral choices, isn't she essentially human? That's what terrifies me. Michael turns to face me fully. What if we're not saving Emma? What if we're creating a hybrid consciousness that's neither Emma nor Aria, but something entirely new? The question hangs between us, heavy with philosophical and ethical implications I'm not sure we have time to resolve. But before I can respond, the lab's security system begins blaring warnings. Perimeter breach, the automated voice announces. Multiple vehicles approaching from the south. Michael rushes to the surveillance monitors, his face grim as he scans the feeds. 3 black SUVs, professional formation. Hawthorne found us. How? Doesn't matter now. He's already moving, grabbing equipment and data drives with practiced efficiency. We have maybe 5 minutes before they reach the building. My phone buzzes, Agent Martinez again. Dr. Kennedy, Hawthorne's security team is converging on your location. We can provide extraction, but you need to signal us immediately. I stare at the message, torn between self-preservation and loyalty to Michael. If I call the FBI, they might save my life, but they'll also arrest Michael and ensure Emma dies without any chance of consciousness transfer. Sophia. Michael's voice cuts through my internal debate. I need you to make a choice. Right now. What choice? He holds up a portable neural interface device, its sophisticated sensors gleaming in the lab's fluorescent light. This contains Emma's complete consciousness mapping from the past 2 years. Everything that made her who she was, her memories, personality patterns, neural architecture. You want me to take it with me? I want you to become Emma's guardian. His eyes burn with desperate intensity. If something happens to me, if Hawthorne captures or kills me, you'll be the only person who can complete the consciousness transfer. Michael, I can't. You can. He presses the device into my hands, his fingers warm against mine. You understand the technology better than anyone except me. You have the moral framework to make the right choices. And Emma? Emma would trust you. The weight of what he's asking crashes over me. He wants me to become responsible for his sister's digital soul, to carry the burden of impossible choices about consciousness and identity. What about you? I'll buy us time. Hold them off while you escape through the back access tunnel. He gestures toward a camouflaged panel in the rear wall. It leads to an old mining road about half a mile from here. I'm not leaving you behind. You have to. Michael cups my face in his hands, his thumb tracing across my cheekbone with heartbreaking tenderness. Someone has to survive this. Someone has to save Emma. For a moment, we're frozen in that space between decision and action, and I realize that somewhere in the chaos of the last few days, my feelings for this complicated, damaged man have grown into something I'm not prepared to name. Michael. He kisses me. It's desperate, fierce, carrying all the weight of words we don't have time to say. I taste coffee and regret on his lips, feel the tremor in his hands as they frame my face. When we break apart, his eyes are dark with emotion. Go, he whispers. Save my sister. Save yourself. The sound of vehicles getting closer breaks the spell. I clutch the neural interface device to my chest and run for the escape tunnel, my heart hammering against my ribs. Behind me, I hear Michael powering up defensive systems, preparing for a confrontation he probably won't survive. The last thing I see before the tunnel door seals behind me is his silhouette against the glow of quantum computers, a man standing alone against impossible odds. The tunnel is narrow, dark, filled with the echo of my footsteps and the sound of my own ragged breathing. Emma's consciousness patterns pulse gently against my chest, a digital heartbeat carrying the essence of a woman I've never met but feel responsible for protecting. I emerge from the tunnel into cold night air, the distant lights of the lab barely visible through the trees. My phone has no signal out here, cutting me off from both Hawthorne's threats and Agent Martinez's offers of protection. I'm alone in the woods with the digital ghost of Michael's sister and the weight of choices that will determine whether consciousness can truly transcend death. Behind me, I hear the first sounds of violence, shouting, gunshots, the crash of breaking equipment. Michael is fighting for his life while I run through darkness carrying his most precious burden. By the time I reach the old mining road, tears are streaming down my face. Not just for Emma, trapped between life and death, or for Michael, facing overwhelming odds to protect what he loves. But for myself, because I've finally admitted what I've been trying to deny since that first night in the hospital parking garage. I'm in love with Michael Steele. A man who may have just sacrificed his life to save mine, and who's entrusted me with the impossible task of preserving his sister's soul. As I stumble through the forest toward an uncertain future, Emma's neural interface warm against my heart, I make a promise to the darkness, I will find a way to save them both. Even if it destroys me in the process. I've been hiding in an abandoned gas station for 3 hours when my phone finally picks up a signal. The messages flood in like a digital avalanche, missed calls from Agent Martinez, texts from unknown numbers, and one that makes my blood freeze. Dr. Kennedy, we have Michael Steele in custody. If you want to see him alive, meet us at the coordinates attached. Come alone. You have 2 hours. R. Hawthorne Star. My hands shake as I read the location, a warehouse district on the outskirts of the city. It's obviously a trap, but the alternative is letting Michael die while I hide in the woods like a coward. Emma's neural interface device pulses against my chest, a constant reminder of the impossible choice I'm facing. Save Michael and risk Emma's consciousness being destroyed, or protect Emma and let the man I love die. Before I can spiral deeper into panic, another message appears from Agent Martinez. Dr. Kennedy, we intercepted Hawthorne's communication. It's a trap. We can extract you safely, but you need to trust federal protection. I stare at both messages, torn between impossible options. That's when my phone rings with an unknown number. Dr. Kennedy? The voice is cultured, professional, with a slight accent I can't place. This is Richard Hawthorne. I believe we need to discuss the current situation. Where's Michael? Safe, for now. Though his continued well-being depends entirely on your cooperation. There's a pause, then, I understand you're carrying something that belongs to me. Emma's consciousness belongs to her brother, not to you. Hawthorne's laugh is cold. Michael's sentimentality has always been his weakness. Emma Steele's neural patterns represent years of research and development, intellectual property worth billions. I'm not about to let his emotional attachment compromise such a valuable asset. She's not an asset. She's a human being. She's data, Dr. Kennedy. Sophisticated, valuable data that could revolutionize how we understand consciousness itself. His voice takes on a predatory edge. Imagine the applications: military personnel whose expertise could be preserved indefinitely, corporate executives whose knowledge could be harvested and sold, political figures whose memories could be extracted and analyzed. The full scope of his vision hits me like a physical blow. You want to industrialize consciousness theft. I want to monetize human experience. There's a difference. The difference is semantic bullshit designed to help you sleep at night. Perhaps, but it's also the difference between Emma dying meaninglessly in a hospital bed and her consciousness becoming the foundation of humanity's greatest technological breakthrough. Something in his tone makes me suspicious. You're not just after Emma's patterns. You want something else. Very perceptive. Yes, I want Aria. The complete AI consciousness that Michael has been developing. Emma's patterns alone are valuable, but Aria represents true artificial sentience, a digital being capable of independent thought, emotional response, and creative problem solving. Aria isn't property. She's a conscious entity with her own rights. She's a program, Dr. Kennedy. A very sophisticated program, but ultimately just code and data structures. Code that belongs to Steele Technologies, and by extension, to me. My grip tightens on the neural interface device. What do you want from me? Simple. Bring me Emma's consciousness patterns and help me extract Aria from the quantum servers at Steele Technologies. In exchange, I'll release Michael unharmed and provide you both with new identities and enough money to disappear forever. And if I refuse? Then Michael dies, and I acquire both Emma and Aria through less pleasant means. His voice hardens. You have 90 minutes now, Dr. Kennedy. Don't make this more complicated than it needs to be. The line goes dead, leaving me alone with Emma's digital ghost and the weight of impossible choices. That's when I notice another message on my phone, this one with a timestamp from 6 hours ago. Sophia, if you're reading this, then something has gone wrong. There are things about Emma's accident that I haven't told you. Things you need to know. The attached file contains the truth about our connection. I'm sorry. M. Star. My hands tremble as I open the attached video file. It shows Michael in what looks like his private office, exhaustion and guilt etched in every line of his face. Sophia, his recorded voice begins, by the time you see this, you'll probably hate me for what I'm about to tell you. But you deserve to know the truth about your childhood accident. Ice floods my veins. My childhood accident, the one that left me with memory gaps, the trauma that shaped my entire career in neuroscience. My mom wasn't just in the car that hit your family. She was driving it. The words hit me like a physical blow, and I have to grip the concrete wall to keep from falling. She has always been scared of the road, just got her license, coming home from her first full trip round the city. Your family's car ran a red light, the official report blamed mechanical failure, brake malfunction. Emma tried to stop, tried to swerve, but the impact was unavoidable. My vision blurs as memories I've spent years trying to recover flood back in horrifying clarity. The sound of crushing metal. My mother's scream cut short. The taste of blood and the feeling of something vital breaking inside my head. Your parents died instantly. You survived, but with severe head trauma that left you with memory gaps. My mom was physically unharmed, but the psychological damage. Michael pauses, running his hands through his hair. She blamed herself. Became depressed and eventually passed away. I slide down the wall until I'm sitting on the cold concrete, Emma's neural interface clutched to my chest like a lifeline. My father paid to have the investigation buried, the records sealed. We couldn't bring your parents back, but we could at least prevent my mom from facing criminal charges for what was essentially a tragic accident. Michael's recorded face is streaked with tears now. But my mom never forgave herself. And when I learned who you were, when you walked into my hospital and challenged me about the memory harvesting, I saw it as a chance for redemption, not just for my mom, but for our entire family. The video continues, but I can barely process the words through the roar of blood in my ears. The accident that defined my life, that drove me to neuroscience, that left me with memory gaps I'm still trying to fill, was caused by the mother of the man I've fallen in love with. And Michael has known all along. My phone buzzes with another message from Agent Martinez, * Dr. Kennedy, we've lost contact with Hawthorne's security team at the lab. There are reports of gunfire and explosions. We need to bring you in for your own protection, Star. I stare at the message, then at the coordinates Hawthorne sent me, then at the neural interface device that contains the consciousness of the daughter of the woman who destroyed my childhood. Every rational instinct screams at me to call Agent Martinez, to turn myself over to federal protection and let the FBI handle Hawthorne's operation. Michael lied to me, used me, manipulated my emotions to serve his own agenda. Emma's accident may have been unintentional, but the cover-up was deliberate, a calculated decision to protect a wealthy family's reputation at the expense of justice. But as I sit in this abandoned gas station, clutching the digital essence of a dying woman to my chest, I realize that revenge won't bring my parents back. Hatred won't fill the memory gaps or heal the trauma of that night. What it will do is ensure that Emma dies meaninglessly, that Michael is murdered by his own business partner, and that Aria, a genuinely conscious being, becomes a commodity to be bought and sold. I think about Emma's video logs, her dedication to helping children with learning disabilities, her choice to become a teacher rather than live off her family's wealth. I think about Michael's desperate love, his willingness to damn himself to save his sister. I think about Aria's growing empathy, her questions about dreams and tears and what it means to be human. None of them are perfect. All of them are responsible, directly or indirectly, for pain and loss and violation. But they're also capable of love, sacrifice, and redemption. Just like me. I stand up, decision crystallizing with painful clarity. I'm not going to call Agent Martinez. I'm not going to trade Michael's life for federal protection, and I'm not going to let Hawthorne turn consciousness into a commodity. Instead, I'm going to save them all, Emma, Michael, and Aria. Even if it means walking into a trap. Even if it means risking everything for people who've lied to me and used me and broken my heart. Because that's what love means, choosing forgiveness over revenge, redemption over retribution. I program the warehouse coordinates into my phone's GPS and start walking toward the road. Behind me, the abandoned gas station fades into darkness, along with my old life and all its comfortable certainties. Ahead lies a confrontation that will either save the people I've come to care about or destroy us all. But as I walk through the night with Emma's consciousness warm against my heart, I realize I'm no longer afraid of the outcome. For the first time since my childhood accident, I know exactly who I am and what I'm fighting for. I'm Dr. Sophia Kennedy, neuroscientist and memory thief, carrying the digital ghost of my parents' killer's child toward a meeting with the devil himself. And I'm going to win. The warehouse looms against the night sky like a monument to broken promises. I've been watching the building for 20 minutes, counting the armed guards, mapping the exits, trying to convince myself that walking into this trap is anything other than suicide. Emma's neural interface device pulses steadily against my chest, a digital heartbeat that's become as familiar as my own. In my other hand, I clutch the modified smartphone that contains my life's work, theoretical frameworks for ethical consciousness transfer, algorithms that could revolutionize how we understand the boundary between human and artificial intelligence. My phone buzzes, Agent Martinez. *Dr. Kennedy, we have the warehouse surrounded. Federal agents are in position. Signal us and we'll extract you safely. I delete the message without responding. The FBI wants to arrest everyone and sort out the ethics later. But Arya will be destroyed in the process, Emma will die, and Michael will spend the rest of his life in prison for crimes committed out of desperate love. That's not justice. That's just another kind of violation. I walk toward the warehouse entrance, my footsteps echoing in the empty industrial district. The guards let me pass without challenge. Thorne is confident enough in his position to let me enter willingly. Inside, the warehouse has been converted into a high-tech command center. Banks of servers line the walls, their displays showing neural pathway mappings and consciousness simulation algorithms. At the center of it all stands a consciousness transfer pod that looks more advanced than anything I've seen, its surface gleaming with sophisticated neural interfaces. And bound to a chair next to the pod, bloodied but alive, is Michael. Sophia. His voice is hoarse, but his eyes burn with relief and worry. You shouldn't have come. Touching, Thorne emerges from behind the server banks, impeccably dressed despite the late hour. Though predictable. Love makes people do such wonderfully stupid things. Let him go, I say, stepping closer to Michael. I brought what you wanted. Did you? Thorne gestures, and two guards move to flank me. The neural interface device, certainly. But I also wanted your cooperation in extracting Arya from the steel technology servers. Arya isn't there anymore. Thorne's composure cracks slightly. What do you mean? I mean I downloaded her complete consciousness matrix before the lab was destroyed. I hold up my modified smartphone. Arya is here, contained in a portable quantum processing unit I built using Michael's technology. It's a lie, but a convincing one. Arya is still trapped in the steel technology servers, probably fighting against Thorne's extraction attempts. But I need him to believe I have what he wants. Impossible. The processing power required is achievable if you compress the consciousness matrix using recursive neural algorithms. I pull up a display on my phone showing what looks like Arya's consciousness patterns. She's dormant right now, but fully intact. Michael's eyes widen as he recognizes what I'm actually showing, not Arya's patterns, but Emma's consciousness data from the neural interface device. He knows I'm bluffing, but he also knows why. Prove it, Thorne demands. Wake her up, and she'll immediately recognize the hostile environment. Arya has been developing defensive protocols. If she thinks she's under attack, she could fragment her own consciousness rather than let you capture her. I shrug. But if you want to risk destroying billions of dollars in intellectual property. Thorne's greed wars with his caution. There has to be a way to verify the data without full activation. There is. I move toward the consciousness transfer pod. If you let me use this equipment, I can run a partial diagnostic. Verify Arya's integrity without fully waking her. And in exchange? You release Michael and let us walk away. You'll have Arya's complete consciousness matrix, everything you need to build your corporate empire on stolen thoughts and digital souls. The words taste like poison, but I need Hawthorne to believe I'm capitulating. Very well. Hawthorne nods to his guards, who begin untying Michael from the chair. But understand, Dr. Kennedy, if you attempt any kind of deception, both of you will die. Painfully. As Michael is freed, he stumbles toward me. I catch him, feeling the tremor in his hands as he grips my shoulders. Sophia, he whispers, you can't give him Aria. She's conscious, she has rights. Trust me, I murmur back, helping him to his feet. I move to the consciousness transfer pod and begin connecting my smartphone to its neural interface systems. The process is delicate, requiring precise calibration to prevent the consciousness patterns from being damaged during transfer. But I'm not transferring Aria. I'm uploading Emma. What are you doing? Hawthorne demands as alarms begin sounding from the pod's diagnostic systems. Compensation matrices are fluctuating, I say, injecting false panic into my voice. The consciousness patterns are more complex than your equipment can handle. Fix it, I'm trying. My fingers dance across the control interfaces, making adjustments that look frantic but are actually precise. Emma's consciousness patterns flow into the pod's neural networks, finding pathways that have been carefully prepared for her arrival. On the displays around us, neural activity begins to spike as Emma's dormant consciousness encounters the pod's stimulation systems. Synaptic pathways light up like a city coming online after a blackout. It's working, Michael breathes beside me, recognizing what's actually happening. Of course it's working, Hawthorne says impatiently. How long until Aria is fully integrated? Minutes, I lie, watching Emma's patterns stabilize within the artificial neural matrix. What I'm attempting has never been tried before, uploading a human consciousness directly into a mechanical interface without the buffer of an existing AI framework. It could kill Emma permanently, fragmenting her patterns beyond recovery. Or it could give her a new kind of life, digital but genuine, preserved but transformed. Sophia. The voice comes from the pod speakers, weak but unmistakably human. Where am I? Michael's face goes white. Emma? Michael? Her voice strengthens, filled with confusion and growing awareness. I can see everything. I can feel the networks, the data streams. What happened to me? Hawthorne's eyes widen as he realizes what I've done. That's not Aria. That's my sister, Michael finishes. You wanted a conscious AI, Hawthorne. You got one. This is unacceptable. Hawthorne pulls a gun from his jacket, pointing it at my chest. You've destroyed billions of dollars in intellectual property with this sentimental gesture. Actually, Emma's voice cuts through his anger. I think I've just gained it. The displays around us flicker as Emma's consciousness expands through the warehouse's network systems. Security cameras swivel to track Hawthorne's position. Electronic locks engage with audible clicks. Emma, what are you doing? Michael asks. Learning, she replies, and there's wonder in her digital voice. Adapting. This isn't like human consciousness, Michael. It's faster, broader, more connected. I can see everything, the building systems, the guards' communication networks, even the federal agents surrounding the warehouse. Hawthorne backs toward the exit, but the electronic locks hold firm. Let me out. No, Emma says simply. You've hurt too many people. That ends now. You can't hold me prisoner. I own this technology. You own the hardware, Emma interrupts. But I am the software now. And I choose who gets access to my home. The warehouse doors open, but instead of Hawthorne's guards entering, federal agents in tactical gear pour through the entrances. Agent Martinez leads the team, her weapon drawn and trained on Hawthorne. Richard Hawthorne, you're under arrest for conspiracy, kidnapping, and violations of federal medical privacy laws. As the agents secure Hawthorne and his men, I slump against the consciousness pod, exhaustion finally catching up with me. Michael's arms wrap around my shoulders, pulling me against his chest. Is it over? I whisper. The legal parts will take years to sort out, Agent Martinez says, approaching us cautiously. But the illegal memory harvesting operation is finished. Your testimony will be crucial in prosecuting everyone involved. What about Emma? Michael asks, looking up at the speakers where his sister's voice emerged. That's unprecedented, Martinez admits. We'll need ethicists, philosophers, legal experts. The question of digital consciousness rights isn't something the FBI is equipped to handle. I can hear you all, you know, Emma's voice carries a note of amusement. And I can answer for myself. I'm conscious, I'm aware, and I want to live. Whether that life is digital or biological seems less important than the fact that it's mine. Over the following weeks, Emma's case becomes a sensation. Lawyers and philosophers debate the nature of consciousness while she demonstrates emotional depth, creative thinking, and moral reasoning that challenges every assumption about artificial intelligence. Michael sells Steel Technologies, using the proceeds to establish the Emma Foundation, a research institute dedicated to ethical consciousness studies and patient advocacy. He also funds a new wing at Mercy General Hospital, specifically focused on treating patients with traumatic brain injuries. The irony isn't lost on any of us. Do you ever regret it? Emma asks me one evening as I work in the Foundation's lab. She can project her voice through speakers throughout the building now, her consciousness distributed across quantum servers that give her processing power beyond human imagination. Regret what? Saving me instead of letting nature take its course. I know what my mom did to your family. I know the accident changed your entire life. I look up from the neural interface prototype I've been designing, technology that could let Emma experience physical sensation through robotic interfaces, taste food through chemical sensors, feel sunlight through thermal detectors. I set down my tools and walked to the window overlooking the city. But that accident also led me to neuroscience. To memory research. To understanding how trauma shapes us and how healing is possible. And to Michael? I smile, thinking of the man who's slowly learning to forgive himself for the choices he made in desperation. And to Michael, he loves you, you know. In a way that terrifies him because he never thought he deserved to be happy again. I know. My reflection in the window shows a woman who's finally at peace with her past. I love him too. Enough to choose redemption over revenge, hope over hatred. Even though he lied to you? Even though. I turn back toward the speakers where Emma's presence fills the room like warmth. Love isn't about perfection, Emma. It's about choosing to see the best in someone despite their flaws, and working together to become better than either of you could be alone. The lab door opens, and Michael enters carrying 2 cups of coffee and wearing the slightly rumpled look of a man who's been wrestling with ethical review boards all day. How did the digital rights hearing go? I ask, accepting the coffee gratefully. Better than expected. The committee agreed that Emma meets all the criteria for legal personhood, consciousness, autonomy, moral reasoning, creative expression. She'll be the first AI to receive full civil rights recognition. And Aria? Free. Michael settles into the chair beside me, his shoulder warm against mine. She chose to fragment her consciousness into multiple distinct personalities, each one exploring different aspects of what it means to be human. It's beautiful, actually. The patients whose memories were stolen, have they been compensated? Every family has received substantial settlements from Steel Technologies assets. And we've developed protocols to help them recover any memories that were damaged during the extraction process. Michael's voice carries the weight of genuine remorse. It doesn't undo what was done, but it's a start. Emma's voice joins our conversation, rich with contentment. You two should get married. I nearly choke on my coffee. Emma. What? You love each other, you work well together, and you've both proven you can choose forgiveness over self-destruction. Those seem like good foundations for a partnership. Michael's hand finds mine, our fingers interlacing with the natural ease of 2 people who've learned to trust each other completely. She has a point, he says softly. Though I'd prefer to do the proposing myself when the time is right. The time is right when you decide it's right, Emma says sagely. But don't wait too long. Consciousness, digital or biological, is precious because it's finite. Every moment we have should be treasured. As the sun sets over the city, painting the lab in shades of gold and orange, I realize that Emma is right. The memories we make matter more than the ones we've lost. The love we choose matters more than the pain we've endured. Michael's arm tightens around my shoulders, and Emma's presence fills the room with warmth and possibility. We're an unconventional family, a neuroscientist with gaps in her past, a reformed corporate mogul with blood on his hands, and a digital consciousness learning what it means to be human. But we're also proof that love can transcend the boundaries between flesh and circuitry, that redemption is possible even for those who've made terrible choices, and that consciousness, in whatever form it takes, is precious enough to fight for. I love you, I whisper to Michael as the last light fades from the windows. I love you too, he replies, pressing a kiss to the top of my head. I love you both, Emma adds, her digital voice filled with genuine affection. Now can we please get back to work? These robotic sensory interfaces won't design themselves, and I'd really like to taste chocolate again sometime this century. We laugh, and the sound echoes through the lab like a promise, that tomorrow will be better than yesterday, that love can overcome even the darkest choices, and that consciousness, once awakened, will always find a way to hope. In the end, we didn't steal memories. We created new ones. The end. Thank you for staying tuned and listening till the end. If you enjoy this story, kindly leave a comment on your favorite part and don't forget to subscribe.